What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on Rich Paul, right? And more specifically, some statements that were made about Rich Paul. Kwame Brown made some statements about Rich Brown that I really want to get into, that I want to talk about, because I think that the statements that Kwame made about Rich Paul were valid, right? And then so what I want to do is I want to listen to uh, what Kwame said on his podcast. Then I want to come back and I want to give my input because I think this is valid.
Everybody got paid. Man, everybody did get paid. And Rich Paul about to make sure Austin Reeves don't get paid. That's crazy. So I want to play the video where Kenyon Martin is calling out Austin Reeves. I'm going to put an overlay up. I'm going to play it off a dude channel. I'll give him a shout out. But he's using parts from Gil's Arena, and things like that. We already know. I don't want to use no parts from that. I use the thumbnail. But Kenyon Martin, rightfully so, and Rashad McCants called out Rich Paul. Never seen anything like this. This is the reason why Rich Paul is not a real agent. And when I say real agent, he's not an attorney. Most agents are, or most of them were attorneys until Rich Paul and that whole situation. And there's ethical things that you just don't do because it can affect another player. This is a business, by the way. This can affect another player, and you don't want to do that. That can cause issues between teammates. That can cause a lot of risk because, again, we're competing, and this is a business. But some people don't seem to understand that, or they just don't give a you know what. So this is on Tyler Rose TV. Tyler Rose TV. Let's get into it.
All right. So before he get into playing the audio from Tyler Rose TV, right? Before when Rich Paul first decided, or they decided that Rich Paul was going to be an agent representing LeBron James and other players around the league, a lot of people already had reservations about it because they knew that Rich Paul didn't go to school for it, right? And he wasn't a lawyer. And so that people were saying that, okay, so if you're not a lawyer and you're not really well versed in like reading contracts and the verbiage from contracts, and it's going to be hard for you to represent somebody in the right way because he's not familiar with like what goes on as far as like being, he wasn't professionally trained basically. Right. And so they got through, LeBron and everybody and them, and Rich Paul, they worked through that. Part of the thing, what they did is they hired somebody to come in to assist Rich Paul. I forgot the guy's name, but he is a legitimate lawyer, a legitimate, he would be a legitimate agent because he has a law background. So he's able to read contracts and able to, tell people like, and understand like the verbiage and the language in the contract and explain it. But the thing about that is like when you do go to law school and you learn how to do that stuff, you also take what is called like ethics. Ethics is like it's almost like a law or unwritten rules where things that you don't want to, certain ethics you don't want to violate. And I think that Rich Paul bringing up this guy Reeves, Austin Reeves, in a manner saying that he should go to the bench, especially like what Kwame just said. This is his contract year. So when Rich Paul, as a professional, as an agent, speaks like this against somebody that is on his player's team, I think that's unethical, right? And not only is it unethical, in my opinion, I think it's unprofessional. Basketball players, baseball, football players, they always make it a point never to discuss another player's money. Like if you have a player on one team who's holding out for a bigger contract, usually in most cases, the players on a team won't speak out publicly against that because they never want to mess with somebody else's money. And that goes for agents too, right? I've never seen an agent come out, especially in a contract year, and make a statement like this. So with that being said, I'm going to get back to what is being said on Kwame's podcast.
Why Rich Paul needs to Kenyon Martin and Rashad McCants was like, hey,
I've never heard. I've been around this game for a while. Like, if you want you to speak up for your guys, for your player in that manner, I understand that.
Oh, Rich is an agent. I heard a player or something say, oh, it's weird for Rich to talk like that.
That was
Now, first off, Rich, these guys want to pretend like they don't sit by the TV glued, listening to everything we say, and they do. They hear everything I say. They hear everything Kenyon, any basketball show, Clutch Sports, and those guys are listening. Trust me. Don't ask me how I know, but I know. But the way Rich Paul started off by saying some basketball player lets you know he already on some bull because he know Kenyon Martin said this. Everybody know Kenyon Martin said it. Either myself or Kenyon Martin, but we're gonna go with Kenyon Martin because Gil's Arena is the bigger TV show at the time, so he might have saw it on that one. But Kenyon Martin definitely called him out.
Right,
but
let me say this before Kenyon Martin, they play that. That's why I like social media, right? Because you don't just have to rely on one platform like the mainstream media for opinions and stuff to get out and for people to push back. Because really, if you think about it, I haven't really heard too much pushback from mainstream media. Whereas though Kenyon Martin is on Gil's Arena show and he can go out and he can go out and disapprove and voice his opinion on what Rich Paul did. And he don't have to worry about people higher up saying, well, you can't say this or you can't say that because there's an agenda we trying to push, or we may have, there may be relationships that we don't want to fracture and stuff like that. So that's why I like social media, because it's basically you just getting what people think, their honest opinion.
Say some basketball player? That's crazy.
Say, oh, it's weird for Rich to talk like that.
That was shout him out, Kenyon Martin. And I thought,
it's weird for him to think like
no,
that.
but he was not being negative. If you listen to what Kenyon Martin said.
So I guess they felt that it was negative when I said it, but I wasn't being negative. I was just being honest. And the truth of the matter is this is going to hurt Austin Reeves' contract. It was done to me with this whole Gilbert Arena situation. A lot of agents, if you guys think that agents are not trying to poach off of other players and exploit relationships through their clients and the players that they have, then you're absolutely crazy. In any business, you're going to have that. If I'm the agent of LeBron James and he's cool with Austin Reeves and it's a contract year or the year before, I'm going to see if my client maybe can talk him into coming, or, hey, can you, see if he's okay with his situation. You don't got to tamper. Just see if he's okay. Let him know I can do this now. Our relationships are strong. Just plant that seed. They do that. They do that in every business. So to sit up here and act like that ain't what's going on is crazy to me. But also what's crazy for mainstream media to sit quiet while this man, they're suggesting that Austin Reeves go to the bench. And I'm going to tell you later on in the video why I think that's so stupid.
Well, the reason I think it's stupid, because you got Austin Reeves is a big part of their offense, right? And so you definitely need him out on the floor starting for your team. So I think, in my opinion, I just think it's a situation where they want to have LeBron James out on the floor, regardless of how successful the team is or not, so he can steal the shine and take the credit. Which this team, they need Austin Reeves beside Luka, because Austin Reeves is able to score. LeBron James, really, as far as scoring is concerned, has really, in my opinion, fallen off the cliff, man. He having a hard time getting 10 points a game, a hard time getting into double figures. But the most important thing about, I think, what this guy, Rich Paul, did is he's messing with somebody else's money, you know. It is, and at the, you know, professional athletes, man, they have a window of opportunity when they can cash in, you know, on getting their money. And this guy, Austin Reeves, worked as hard as he did to get to the point where he is having some success in the league. And then here you got a guy come just willy-nilly coming and talking about you should come off the bench, and how this team is not really, you know, he said that they're not really, they're not built for the playoffs. He don't think that they'll be able to have success in the playoffs as they are currently constructed. I just never seen an agent do that, and I think the fact that and I don't know if because you don't have like a formal education that, you know, you would make these mistakes. I just think it's just common courtesy not to mess with somebody else's money or to speak on a player that you're not even representing and saying what moves that you should make with this player or that player. I just thought it was, you know, it was crazy, right? And so that's my take on the situation. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, man, I'm gonna check y'all out in the next video.